All right, to build your animal, we're going from a sketch to a three-dimensional sculpture. The first thing you're gonna do, step one, is straighten the leg pieces as best as you can. So when you get this wire, it's gonna have a little bit of some bends and twists and turns. Try to get these out as best as you can. The wire will never be like chopstick straight. It's going to always have some curves and it's always bendy. Even a completely finished project is still gonna bend. So just do your best to get this as straight as you can. Any major kinks out of it if you can. Just kind of play with it for a second. Don't add any extra. I don't want you to curl this up. I don't want you to put sharp points in it yet. Let's just make it nice and straight. Step two, you're gonna form the body out of foil. So you're gonna get a pretty big piece of foil, and you're going to start by kind of balling it up into this big kind of potato shape. And this is going to be really big in the beginning, and then you're looking at your sketches. Okay, so I'm doing a giraffe. I need to get this wedge-shaped body. So where am I going to squash in? What is the belly? What is the back? So I'm kind of trying to get this triangular shape, and there's no correct answer on how to do this. So it's not like you need to, I mean, it's Goldilocks and Three Bears. You want it just right, not too big, not too little, but it is your animal and what do you want it to look like. I can't hold it up and say, yep, that's the giraffe body that you're supposed to make. It's your project. So I'm going to keep on squashing, sculpting. If there's any kind of gaps you need to fill, I will have some more foil. And if you need to add more to it, if I need to pack in some areas, you can do that. If you squash it, well, I may need some tape. If you squash it, you may need to get another piece and try again, wrap it around. So if this got squashed too little, I would get another piece of foil. I guess for demonstrations, I will squash it in a little bit, not the right shape. This will go then on the inside, and you're gonna get another piece of foil to kind of ball up around it and try a second time. You cannot open the foil back out and squash it back down. Once it's there, it's kind of stuck. The only thing you can do is, I guess, start over or add more foil around it. Step three, you're going to get 2 long pieces of tape. About as wide as the paper would be a good size. And you're going to put them on the side of your table to use. You're going to tear tape. Let me show you that again. We don't need scissors. You're going to tear tape. I just pinch and pull down, and then I leave it. You can't see it's off camera, but I'm going to leave it over here on the side of my table. So as I'm working, I'm not trying to grab tape and tear it off at the same time. I just have it right here ready to go. So for step three, you tear off your tape and stick it around this side of the table. And then we're gonna take that long piece of tape, and so my triangular body, I want the arms, the front set of legs to come off here and the back set of legs to come off here. And like a tabletop, they need to come off the ends. The legs cannot come off the belly. It will not be stable. It's gonna tip over, especially that long giraffe neck. If I were to put my legs like back here, and the back legs behind that, it's gonna tip over. So I need to think about, and I feel like that's way too big. I need to think about where my legs are gonna go on, and like a tabletop, they go on the ends. If you need to squash with a little bit more pressure, you can use the edge of the top of the table and kind of push things in if it is kind of hard on your hands. Okay, so I'm gonna take that piece of tape and I'm gonna go around where my shoulders are gonna go. I'm gonna wrap it around really tight so it comes back to the beginning, and then smooth it out. Tape sticks best to tape. So if I were to, for instance, take this leg and stick it on back here and just tape like this, by the time you came back to class, it would just fall right out. The tape loses its stickiness when it only sticks onto foil. So you'll need tape down as like a primer for where the legs are going to be attached. It's just kind of setting up, the legs are gonna come off here, and then my back legs are gonna come off back here. So I'm gonna wrap it around. There's kind of these gaps right here. I'm gonna wrap it around, and then I'm gonna smooth it flat to the foil. So that's for my back legs to come off and my front legs to come off. Then I'm going to take my sticks. They shouldn't be bent yet. That was just kind of demonstrating. I'm going to take my 2 sticks one at a time and decide where's the belly, where's the back. How is this going to go? I don't need to think about face versus tail, but I do need to think about what is going down to the table and what is going up to the sky. So this is going to be like my shoulders. I'm going to take the kind of the center of the wire, and I'm going to press and hold here across the middle of the back where the shoulders are, and I'm going to form the wire flat here along the sides. If I get done and one is way longer than the other, I can flatten that wire back out again and try to find the center again. Or if one is way too small, I can just kind of wiggle this wire around until I have it where it's mostly meeting kind of at the same point, and where this is the belly and this is the back. Now I can't hold this here forever, so for step 4, we need to tape that on. I'm going to take about 3 pieces of tape for each set of legs. So about 6 pieces of tape. You may need more. About 2 inches long should be good. And just set them up across the edge of your table so that when you're ready to do something, you have tape ready to go. Now I can't hold this here forever, so I'm gonna take tape and I'm gonna put it like up and over the wire. And I'm gonna put it down the side. What I cannot do is let the tape run off or let the tape run off. It has to come back and connect on to the foil body. The wire just has to pop out where you want the leg to extend, and you can't have any tape running down. So I'm gonna get that. I got a big shoulder here, so I have a couple extra pieces of tape I'm using for that. If you shake it and nothing moves, then that's a good start. If you need more, you could also take a piece of tape that comes up and over the front end, maybe like this, and smooth that tape down really good to the foil. Now I need my back set of legs. They're gonna come off back here. So I'm going to take, again, the center of the wire, find where my back is versus the kind of belly area, bend the wire to go flush with the side of the body, and they're longer, that's fine. I cannot cut perfectly the same size legs. It depends on how big your body is. We can always go back and trim that up. That'll be the next step. So I'm going to see if that's good, if that's about even with the other ones. Remember, my guy, he comes up higher here, so that's going to not be kind of flat like this. I gotta kind of pay attention to the shape of my body in my sketch. So I'm going to tape this on, up and over the wire, down the other side. No tape can extend past. I gotta smooth it out. I can put it around the end like this. Nice and flat. Nothing feels like it's flaking off, falling off, like that. Now the next step is 5. Straighten the leg pieces again and spread out a little wide. So what I do is I flip it over to its belly, and I'm going to try to get these legs. So 2 are kind of going this way, these 2 are going up. So I'm gonna mess with it. So it's like you're flipping a tabletop over. All legs are pointing straight up to the sky. Most people are gonna do that. Some people like to put bends in their legs, like some animals have kind of that bend. Actually, they pretty much all do. A bend like for their kind of knee type thing. That's up to you, but I just kind of generally do straight up to the sky and kind of think about where's my belly, how are these gonna come out. Once those are nice and straight, I guess the rest of step 5 is I can trim it. I'm not going to cut the legs off short. If you have a curl on your legs, if you are gonna add something on, I do not want to go in and cut it and then you say, oh, I want that curl, and then now all of a sudden it's like standing on 1-inch long legs. So I'm only going to trim it so that it stands, because right now this guy, his back legs are way longer than the front because of those taller shoulders. So I'm gonna trim it just until it stands. Now the legs are always moving. If it's off a little bit, sometimes you just need to kind of take a leg, kick it out a different way, and get it kind of down. It's hard to get all 4 legs to exactly touch the table because all it takes is one little bend like this. All it takes is one little bend like this, and suddenly they're not all standing on the same thing. So they're always moving legs. It's okay if it hovers a little bit off the ground. It's throughout the entire project, it's going to stand differently each day. Every 5 minutes, it's going to be moving around. So as long as it's standing, it's not leaning over. And if I kind of cut it at the wrong angle, we want to tilt something up, just let me know. I can trim it how you want. Just give me a heads up. I will use the wire cutters to cut it where you want it. Okay, the next step is 6. Form the head out of foil. I'm going to have a nice big pile of foil on the front table. And this time you need a much smaller piece than you did for the body because the head is a lot littler. You can even take that piece and tear it into something smaller if you'd like. And again, look at your sketches. My giraffe has a kind of triangle nose, so I'm just going to ball it up. Here it's really big for a giraffe, so I'm going to keep on forming, sculpting, pushing it in until I have the shape that I want. So look at the size of your animal and determine if that is a good shape and size head. You can always take a little bit more foil and pack on the inside and make it bigger. If it's a big, huge mistake and it's awful, then just trash it and grab a new piece of foil until you have the animal that you want. Okay, step 7. You're going to have to come up and see me. What you're going to do is bring me your body and your head, and you're gonna say, Miss Wright, I'm making a giraffe or whatever you're making, and I need a neck, and you're gonna show me where you want the head to go. So you're gonna bring me the 2 pieces and you're gonna hold them out, because if you want a dragon and it's out here, a horse that's right here, an elephant and it's like right next to it, show me where you want the head, and I'm going to cut you a piece of wire. The wire that I cut you is going to be about 2 inches too long. So I'll cut an extra long piece of wire. We can always trim it shorter, we can't add on to it. But it's 2 inches too long because you're going to need some more tape. And on one end, I'm going to tape the wire on, kind of either running down the nose or down the chin. It just depends on how long you want that wire to be. I'm going to take that and wrap that up in some tape. So the wire is running right down the front of the face, and I'm going to kind of bend the wire to go down the back of the head some. And then on the other end, I need to tape that onto like the shoulders. From here, we can bend it up into place. If you want it to be shorter, tape it further down the back. If you want it to be longer, hopefully you have at least an inch, or I need to cut you a longer wire. But we don't need to trim it really, we just need to tape it further down the back if I cut you a too long piece of wire. So where does that need to go? Somewhere up on the shoulder so it can extend. Take some more tape and stick that on. So actually these are going on to more steps. Step 8, 9, 10 is all kind of getting this together. Getting the head onto one end of the wire, getting the tape down to the shoulder area on the other end of the wire, and then wire bends. You're going to kind of start to bend it up into the place that you want, the angle you want. Camels kind of come out here, dragons, some things kind of go up and out. You need to determine what that's going to look like. And that's obviously a very skinny neck. So the next thing, 11, is to thicken it with more foil. So I'm going to take foil and I'm going to begin to kind of wrap it around that wire and then sculpt it into the shape of the neck that I want. So look at your sketches. What did you draw? Very few animals have as skinny of a neck as a giraffe. A lot of them are kind of bigger, but look all around for the thickness of it, see if that's how you like it. The necks usually get wider as they kind of come towards the shoulders, so it'll kind of grow a little bit here. And then this is all kind of flimsy and moving, so a little bit more tape. Until it's nice and stable. I might need a little bit more to kind of hold that head into place. You do not need to cover up every bit of foil with tape. I just need it to be secure. So as long as it doesn't feel like the foil is flaking off, this is all that you need. So step 12, if we wanted to do something with the legs, or you need to cut them shorter. Now my giraffe, I changed my mind. I do not want to do that to the legs anymore, because that, if I were to curl those legs up, he's gonna lose some height. So if your animal is too tall, the legs are longer than you like, then bring it up. I'm going to trim it so that it stands, and keep on letting me know if you want to change the angle of it. Notice now my giraffe, he's kind of tilting forward. His extension of his head and his neck is kind of changing the balance of it. So that's why we don't trim the legs right at the beginning, is we might need to kind of change it where the front legs are longer to hold it and change the angle of it. Again, this is a big problem solving project. So if something's off, kind of think about, okay, where is the balance going? How can I tilt it further back? You can even change the angle of the head, that's up to you. Kind of play along with that. And if you need anything trimmed, just let me know. Otherwise, we'll trim it so it stands. And I'll just do this for an example. If you need to bend up the legs, I'll just do a little bend just so you can kind of see. You have to show me a sketch of what you want to look like, and I can put a little bend into the wire. Otherwise, they just end as the points, if that's what you want. Once the armature is finished, I have body, legs, head, neck. I like what's happening so far. The fun part begins, where we're going to start to add on extensions, accessories, extra pieces that start to define what kind of animal you're making. So for that, every time you come up, you're going to bring me your worksheet and your animal. Let me know what you're making. It should be kind of written on here, but let me know what we're working on. And you need to prioritize, meaning you're going to pick one thing at a time and start with what is the most important to you. So if we run out of time and your wings and your spikes and everything else can't get added on, it is the least important thing on here. So start with the most important. Let's say I want the ears. You're going to come up in line. Line may start to grow as we get on this project, because there's one of me and lots of you guys for me to make all these extensions for. You're gonna say, Miss Wright, I'm making a giraffe and I would like 2 ears like this. Try to draw them actual size. My goal is to make something that looks just like this drawing. So if you, your animal ended up bigger than your sketch and you need bigger extensions, bigger ears and things, I want it drawn, redrawn, circled, starred. You're saying this is the new one that you're making, so I don't make it too small. While you're in line, I'm going to do this step for you. I'm going to look at your sketch and I'm going to try to bend that out. The first inch of the wire is going to be a tab, and then I'm going to bend the extra pieces out to try to closely replicate that shape. What is it you're wanting me to make? Okay, so I'm going to give you back, you're going to take your worksheet with you and your animal and what extension you just made. One thing at a time. I'm going to come back for everything else. I get one piece at a time. In this case, if it's something that's identical, you're going to get a set, because I just kind of build them at the same time together. From there, you need more tape, and you're going to tape the ear on. So this wire needs to come somewhere flat, whether you go on the side of the head, down the neck. It needs to go somewhere flat, and then tape it on, and you could bend it out into place. Even that wire, even though I formed it, you can actually still change the shape of it with your fingers. So you can kind of play with the shape a little bit more until it kind of does what you want it to do. So get it taped on. It's gonna kind of move some. The plaster will hold it into place a little bit better, but get it taped on where you want it to go and then bend it up into place. Okay, there's one. When I'm finished with that, I'm gonna get back in line with my sketches, with my animal. I see 90 kids, so I need you to say, Miss Wright, I'm making a giraffe, and this time I need a, let's go with tail. Again, show me your sketch. Cut it a little bit too long. I see that the tail's a little bit curly, comes to a point. I cannot bend the metal to a perfect angle. It has to curve around my pliers. It bends back in and up. So there's my tail. I tend to make things a little bit bigger than your sketches, so hopefully that works for you. And then I'm gonna take that extra length, and if that is too long, remember, an inch or more gets taped on. You're not gonna poke it on. I'm not going to, I've seen kids do this. They like wanna curl up the tape and stick this on and stick, no, ma'am and sir. Instead, take the end of that wire and decide how long you want it to stick out, where you want it to stick out from. Tape this onto the body, and you can extend it out. It can be taped on further, so wherever you want it to kind of pop out from, up to you. If I do something that you really don't like, maybe I really don't like this tail, then say too big, too small, something else, and before you go, or you can come back in line if I mess something up, and we can try to fix it. So if you don't like, if you don't like what I made for you, just be honest with me. Say that I want something different, kind of explain to me how it needs to look different. You know, it's kind of hard to bend the wire with these things, so I do my best, but you know, sometimes people want something a little bit different than what I'm doing. You just gotta be honest and let me know. From there, I have antlers. So with some things like this, you actually will put tape right here through the center to stick it on like that. Now the tape is about 1 inch wide, so if that's a little smaller, you might need to tear the tape down, kind of fold it over. But I want this center part to be taped right there across the top of the head. And then lastly, I have the mane. If you have mane or a spike, and I gotta do a lot of bending, especially like, oh man, spikes that run down dragons' backs. That takes a very long time for me to bend into place. This guy, 1 inch is gonna get taped onto the kind of front of the head where all that other stuff is going, and then I got to put in little bends kind of down and up and down and up, and it takes a little while sometimes, which is why you only get one thing at a time. And I'll go as quick as I can with that line, but it's something you're gonna have to be patient with me. So we're going to tape this on here. I'll have to kind of measure to see how far I need to go. With that, this 1 inch is going to get taped onto the front of the head. And then it's going to be raised away from the back, and this last bit is going to get taped onto the shoulders. Okay, from here, I'm going to check over. I got my ears, my antlers, my mane, my tail, my feet. What else do I need? If you still have time, you can keep coming up. If you don't have everything that you need, you're just going to keep on coming up, getting in line. But otherwise, this is ready to plaster. I need to check that it still stands. All the extensions and the extra weight of the neck usually kind of tips animals over, so we might need to kind of adjust that a little bit. So let me know if there's anything I can help you with. Otherwise, this is ready to be plastered. Everything does not need to be covered in tape in order to get plaster. Plaster can go over tape, it can go over foil. You do not need to mummy the project. The tape is just going to hold everything together temporarily until that plaster cast comes on top and hardens it permanently.